Okay, once again, uh, this is Erickson Ravena, and we are going to have another topic for everything about ISO. This time, we are going to talk about Clause 7 requirements of ISO 9001. Again, we are going to talk about Clause 7 requirements of ISO 9001. So, ang title ng Clause 7 ng ISO 9001, actually, hindi lang ISO 9001 but other management system standard, is support. Okay, so we are going to talk about particularly the support process requirements of a management system. So, we are going to be specific in ISO 9001 because there are sub-clauses in clause 7.1 that are somehow unique to ISO 9001, which is quality management systems. Okay, so isa-isahin natin, himayin natin. So actually, in clause 7 is a major clause. We have 5 sub-clause, 7.1, which is resources, 7.2 competence, 7.3 awareness, 7.4 communication, and 7.5 documented information. Alright, so let's talk about 7.1, which is resources. From the name itself, resources, ibig sabihin, ano yung mga process requirements when it comes to management of the resources needed for your management system. Okay, for this particular clause, we have 7 sub-clause as well in 7.1, which is 7.1.1. Usually yung mga 7.1.1, yun yung mga general requirements. Okay, so dito 7.1.1, general requirements for resources. So paano na ma-manage ni organization yung mga resources na kakailanganin niya for management system. Okay, so kung tatalakayin doon, ano yung kailangan natin establish para makita ang kabuuan ng mga resources na kakailanganin natin for our organization. Some of the best practices that that other organizations are doing is that, of course, budget setting. Okay, they are also doing strategic planning. Okay, so when we talk about strategic planning, budget planning, ang mindset, ang vision, ang perspective ng organization is 1 year. Usually, meron pa nga 3 years eh. So, alamin mo na kung ano yung gagastusin mo at ano yung mga resources na kakailanganin mo in the span of 3 years. So, that is the best practice. So, every organization, iba-iba naman sila ng diskarte. May mga organization na kasi na very dynamic, meron organization na gusto nilang iset yung mga plano nila in a 3-year term. So, iba-iba. So, that is one of the best practices on how you are going to establish your process on clause 7.1.1. Okay? And again, let me reiterate, when we talk about management system standard requirements, this document tells you what are the requirements. It doesn't tell you how to conform with these requirements. Discard the organization. Okay.
In 300 meters, stay to the left to Quezon Avenue, East Underpass.
Hindi ko na si let's continue. Okay, so once again, those are the requirements of clause 7.1.1. Let's go to the next subclause of 7.1, which is clause 7.1.2. Ang clause 7.1.2, if I'm not mistaken, is people requirements. Okay, again kasi nasa clause 7.1 tayo, mga resources. nakakapaloob dito. So, makes sense kasi nga every organization needs people to make sure there will be someone who will be preparing the products, who will be rendering services, and also a lot of things to do to make sure management system will be operating effectively and efficiently. So dito sa people requirements, inaalam dito kung sino-sino yung mga tao at gaano karami yung tao na kinakailangan sa organization. So one of the best practices ng organization is the manpower complement, organizational structure, inaalam din dito. And also, papasok pa rin yung strategic planning. Always strategic planning will be the very best core process ng organization. Kasi doon inaalam kung what are your plans for your particular unit. What are your plans for your department? What are your plans for your so, ayun. So those are the best practices for clause 7.1, which is people and process requirements. The next subclause in 7.1 is what we call clause 7.1.3, which is the infrastructure. One of the best at saka gamit na clause sa ISO 9001 kasi all of the organization depends on infrastructure. Kasi naman kahit sa organization, if you have the infrastructure, you will be able to operate effectively and efficiently. And ang requirement kasi dito is the organization shall determine and maintain the infrastructure. May requirement na maintain the infrastructure. So alam naman natin when we talk about infrastructure, we are referring to buildings, we are referring to our office, we are referring to computers, we are referring to the electricity, to the water, air conditioning units, ayan. So internet is also an infrastructure. Okay. So alam natin yung mga infrastructure, pero yung requirement then we are able to determine ano yung mga kinakailangan na infrastructure. The challenge is how are you going to maintain those infrastructure na time to time na ginagamit ng mga tao inside the organization. So that is the challenge, particularly for the General Services Department. Yung iba, they have General Services Unit, Administrative Services Unit, so they are the ones who are maintaining the infrastructure. Sa ibang manufacturing company, meron na silang maintenance and facilities management. Okay, so they are the ones who will be audited for this particular clause on how they will be able to maintain this infrastructure that has been established for this organization. Okay, next is the clause 7.1.4, which is the environment for the operation process. Okay, so that is the environment for the operation process. So dito sa subclause na to, yes, na-determine namin yung lightings na naka-install that infrastructure that is called 7.1.3. The air conditioning unit is also an infrastructure na naka-install, so that is called 7.1.3. Pagdating sa clause 7.1.4, the keyword for this subclause is conducive for working. So yes, we have the infrastructure, we have the rooms, we have the offices. Pero ang mga offices ba na to, ang mga area, working area is conducive for working. Does the air conditioning unit be able to maintain the temperature necessary for us to work? Does the lighting installed enough to provide light for us to see what we are doing in the working area? Is is it enough for us to read the documents that we are working on? So those are the questions that we can raise to make sure we would be able to have an established and working process on environmental and operational process, which is clause 7. Now we have clause 7.1.5, monitoring and measuring resources. Okay, so dito sa 7.1.5, we are referring to the measuring equipment. So particularly gamit na lalong-lalo na sa mga manufacturing, because of course sa mga manufacturing hindi mawawala yung mga weighing balances, weighing scale. If it is a bulk mixing plant, they will need weighing scale to make sure that the raw materials that they are going to put inside the mixing tank is accurate. Okay. So when I talk about a large batch of a mixing tank, so I'm talking about tons. Okay. Malalaking tank yan, sobrang lalaki. So 20,000 liters, 30,000 liters, depende sa organization. Kasi dinidesign nila yan in a way na magiging efficient yung pagpabatch nila when they do a certain batch production. For example, I used to work in a paint company when we are doing a flat paint. So napakalaking tank yan, 5,000 liters. So we are going to make sure that the raw materials are accurate measurement before putting it in the mixing. So ayan. So when we talk about clause 7.1.5, monitoring and measuring resources, itong mga weighing scale na to, we need to make sure that it is properly calibrated. Requirement din yun sa clause na yun na yes, you have determined the measuring equipment, but is it reliable na ma-measure niya correctly yung mga materials na kailangan yung ilagay sa production mixing plant. So yung mga ganong thing. Okay, and another sub-clause in 7.1 is what we call clause 7.1.6. This is very important, and actually I love this requirement because it is entitled organizational knowledge. So this is one of the bright idea na maganda na nailagay dito sa ISO 9000, because all of the knowledge that you are going to read, you are going to know, hindi enough na mabasa or hindi rin enough na masabi sa inyo ng mga colleagues nyo kung ano yung mga kailangan nyo gawin. Minsan kailangan ng tinatawag na mentoring in order for that particular person to fully grasp at maging aware, maging competent in doing things sa function na naka-assign sa kanya. So that is organizational knowledge, that is the requirement. So parang sinasabi dito is that yung mga tacit knowledge, when we say tacit knowledge, those are the knowledge na nasa loob lang ng isip mo pero hindi naka-document. Pwedeng naka-document pero pagbabasahin mo, it will need a certain mechanism like mentoring and coaching to make sure it will be fully shared to dun sa colleague na nangangailangan ng knowledge na yun. Alright? So yun, nandun din yung succession planning because may mga senior manager na magre-retire. Hindi pwedeng hindi pwedeng mapila yung organization because the retirement of a certain senior manager. Kailangan maipasa niya yon through the process of succession planning. So those are some of the best practices para mag-conform dun sa clause 7.1.6, which is the organizational knowledge. So medyo mahaba pala itong support clauses na to, and we are going to have our part 2 on the next video. And once again, if you like the video, please click the like button and follow my account, Erickson Ravena. And once again, this is everything about guys. Have a nice day.